Welcome back, everyone. A federal high court in Abuja today has dismissed 6 out of the 11-count charge preferred against the self-acclaimed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, and 3 others. Justice Binta Nyako dismissed the charges for lack of proof of evidence. This followed an application by all the defendants in the suit asking the court to quash the charges against them for lack of merit. They thereafter took a fresh plea on the remaining 5 charges. My guests, both of them are lawyers, and one is a former lawmaker, have been talking to us on the program. Well, let me go back to our Abuja studio and take this issue of the justice on our again, just for another moment, before we delve into some of these other issues relating to the rule of law. For a moment, when we wonder, we saw the clamping on some judges in the land, the invasion into their houses, the issue of the investigation of corruption, of fraud on some of these judges. And when we wonder, to what extent has this eaten into the fabric of the Nigerian judiciary? And could this be one of the reasons why there was a stalling on the transmission of Justice Onogen's name in the first place?
Well, I think they are separate issues, because even if you correctly accuse judges of corruption, that will have nothing to do with the confirmation of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, because one is a requirement of the Constitution as an existing judicial head. The other is a matter of available facts and perception. Facts, if the facts are truly there; perception, if the facts are founded on imagination. So the question is, are they separate and separable? Clearly, they are. I want to believe that that could not have stalled the nomination. I want to believe that that was a political decision, and I am sure that Onogen then benefited from a national solidarity, and that was most unnecessary, because the head of judiciary should be, as a matter of fact, unfettered. His hands should be free like the air. As he himself had rightly said, the court is where everyone gets justice.
Okay, before I leave you in Abuja, let's take on the issue of Nnamdi Kanu. We heard 2 eminent Nigerians, a former central bank governor, Charles Soludo, and an economist, Professor Utomi, a former finance minister, speaking on this man, weighing on this one to say, release this man and also follow the rule of law. We've heard also of the detention by the Department of Security Service of some men, which people would say, fine, if you're investigating people, it's okay, but why keep them on an unending detention? What kind of atmosphere do you think has been created in this Buhari era about the rule of law? The El Zazaki issue matter is also there, but the Nnamdi Kanu matter is bringing all of this to the fore.
Well, I am sorry to say that I also entertain the fear that there is a crippling intervention of suppression of alternative views, and this is very sad for our country. When you do find the number of persons in detention for making comments, social commentaries that I believe are founded on public concerns, and the fact that the methodology of the DSS itself is becoming a matter for concern. You don't keep people in underground cells. You don't avail them the opportunity of speaking to their lawyers. You don't charge them within the requirements of the law, and then you keep them under inhuman conditions. I think this is very worrisome, and it's very antagonistic to democracy. You cannot operate a democracy and at the same time operate a Nazi-like form of approach in suppressing those who do not agree with you. For the Kanu situation, I think the Biafran question cannot be forced away from the table. It must be discussed, it must be negotiated. The right to self-determination is a universal phenomenon which must be negotiated, and as those 2 eminent Nigerians said, not all Igbo men and women agree with them. A few may agree with them, but the thing is, you don't suppress views by driving it underground. You make it more dangerous. So I think that you should put this on the table and discuss the issues.
Okay.
If it's a question of involvement and inclusion, then you have to agree on that.
Okay.
That's my take.
For a moment, Honorable Dausa, let's come to your colleague lawyer here in the studio, Mr. KG. Yeah. What do you make of it? There's another man, Babatunde Gbadamosi, who is been for 4 or 5 days now, DSS custody, and the issue of Nnamdi Kanu. What do you think is happening? Rule of law followed, rule of law flouted. Some people under the rule of law, some people are above. What exactly is happening?
Absolutely. We are experiencing the lowest ebb of rule of law today in Nigeria. And it's quite sad that we are in the era of democracy. Even during the military regimes, we have not had it so bad. If you remember, during the military regime, there were a lot of people who were detained, and in spite of their being detained, they were still given opportunities to go to court, and when courts order for their release, they were released. There are a litany of examples. But today, we have found situations where courts would make orders. In point of fact, regarding Nnamdi Kanu, 3 different courts have made different orders, ordering that he be released on bail. And none of those orders have been obeyed today, including that of Dasuki. And you have just mentioned that of Gbadamosi. There are also a lot of other social media situations where people will be arrested for merely expressing their opinions or even merely speaking against the government. But I think it's a reflection.
It doesn't in a way take away the fact that some people actually step out of line, but one will be looking at what in law is permissible for the security agencies.
For a society without sanction is Hobbesian. You just find that life will be short and brutish. That is where there is law. That is why there is law. Of course, because there is law, that is why you must always find situations where people will step out of line. And when they step out of line, you direct the law towards them. You use the law to ensure that they step into line. And how do you do that? The law clearly provides, the Constitution of Nigeria, thankfully, it's a constitutional provision. It's not an ordinary law of the National Assembly. That everybody who is arrested must be taken to a court within 24 hours. And if there's no court in a near distance, within 48 hours. And anybody who is granted bail must be released, because everybody is deemed innocent before.
Before I come to Lagos for Mr. Ikeji's closing statements, let me quickly go to you, Honorable Idahosa. As it stands now, just about 2 years into the life of this administration, one we wonder what they should be doing. Does it look like, for example, because the DSS seems to be at the center of all of these issues, what should they be doing right now before it becomes terribly bad?
Well, I think they need a policy reversal on this suppression. They have to accept the reality that in democracy, there must be civility toward the citizen. And so you cannot continue to oppress your own citizens in the name of trying to enforce the law. And you cannot illegally implement the provisions of the law. Once you go outside the law, you lose your moral high ground. You resort to self-help against all known decorum. So I think that they have very few time, limited time left to toe the path of honor. Ensure that those who should not be
it doesn't take too long before that credibility is destroyed. Let me quickly allow Mr. KG to give us his closing statement. It looks so much that there is an authoritarian, or there is some. What do you think should be done right now from the security agency's point of view? And if judiciary is also being tampered, what should be done right now?
I think that the judiciary should rise up. You see, in a case in the United States, Madison and Marbury, it was clearly stated that the judiciary can strike down anything that has to do with executive or legislative action. So we need a strong judiciary, irrespective of the threats, irrespective of the influences coming from any angle. They should stand up now to defend everybody. And the DSS should call itself to order. Even the EFCC, raiding people's homes, should call itself to order. Going to media trials. Media trials have been rampant.
Thank you so much, Mr. KG. Always a pleasure. Honorable West is also the man who came in 2 fronts, former lawmaker and a legal practitioner. Many thanks for your thoughts there. And that's our show tonight. Many thanks for being part of it. I'm sure Kimale. Bye for now.